Welcome to another video here on the Giant Take YouTube channel. Josh, I'm excited to talk about this because today was my first day actually going to Giants training camp. It was day 4 today, and it was a fun one. And I'm excited because I was there, so I could talk about it, feel comfortable talking about it. Not like I couldn't either, not that I couldn't the days prior doing the recaps, but I was there watching it happen. So I got some notes for you. Also, the clips, although you're not supposed to film, kind of broke the rules a little bit, but it's okay, right? Because we got that B-roll for you guys to watch. So I should have clips or highlights as long as everything goes well editing-wise for most of the things I talk about here. So I'm going to get to a few things in a little bit, but I hope you're enjoying your weekend, enjoying your Saturday. And without further ado, let's get into it here. So the first thing on the list, Giants defensive lineman DJ Davidson is consistently the first guy out for practice. I was sitting with my father, and then on my right, and then alongside on my left was Bobby Skinner, Danny King, and Justin Panic of Talking Giants. So, obviously I use them as a resource for kind of my info because they're going to every single training camp date. So I was like, who was that guy out there? He was lining up and just kind of stretching, the first guy out on the field. And Bobby was next to me, and he's like, yeah, that's DJ Davidson. He's been out there basically every single time as the first guy. So I was like, oh, let me write that down as a note. And he eventually tweeted as well. So that's something to definitely put down. Obviously, maybe the hardest worker, the guy who gets there out early, he really wants to play. Now let's talk a little bit about Daniel Jones. So coming right out of the gate, the Giants, the full team came on the field. They stretched, obviously, got ready, and then went right into 11-on-11 team drill for about 5 minutes. It only did a few plays. So during that time, Daniel Jones had a pretty bad throw on a fade route, completely out of bounds. I did not catch that one, but I did catch another bad throw by Daniel Jones, and I didn't even notice it until after I posted it, which then people commented and let me know that it hit the line judge, or not the line judge, but the person who was holding up the first down marker. It literally hit them in the legs. That's how bad the throw was, out of bounds. And if you want to see it, I should include it in here. But also follow us on Twitter at the Giant Take Pod, because I got a lot of coverage on there, and that was super cool and fun to do, obviously. Next up here on the list, John Feliciano once again did not practice today because of exhaustion issues, so hopefully he's okay and he's ready for practice on Monday, as the Giants have a break Sunday. Everyone has a break, really, and then they get right back to it on Monday. But Feliciano didn't practice again today because of those issues. It was Jamil Douglas that stepped in yesterday for him, and then today it was Shane Lemieux that stepped in. He did pretty well filling the role, and he got involved actually in a fight, which I'll mention in a little bit, but hang on to your hats for that one, I guess. Next up here, Daniel Jones ran the ball a lot and got a couple of rushing touchdowns, and one of them I did record. And, yeah, it was really weird. I mean, I guess either good job on – they're going 50, 75%, right, the wide receivers and cornerbacks, so I don't really know. But I would say every 3 out of 3 to 4 plays in the beginning, he got better as it went on, and the team got better, but – it wasn't him specifically, but the wide receiver targets, I guess, weren't getting open, or the plays weren't working, so Daniel Jones would take off. There was maybe 1 or 2 design QB runs that we saw, but it was more oh, no one's open, I'm going to take off, and he started running. And he did a great job at it, don't get me wrong. He's very fast, and you don't really see it until you're actually watching him in person. But the thing is, what's not good is, why is he running? Is he running because it didn't seem like design plays to me? It seemed like offense, the wide receivers didn't get open, so we had to start running. And by that point, it would have been a sack, really, but they can't tackle yet. Pads going on Monday, which is something to note as well. So, it'll start getting a little bit more heated, if it's not already, than what happened today. Then we have, again, more motion. We had Aaron. Wan'Dale Robinson with the orbit motion that I mentioned in yesterday's video, day 3. If you haven't checked that out, go do that. And there was actually a play that I'll probably show now or in a few seconds, where it was the New York Giants. It was Daniel Jones. I think he was under center. I don't know. You'll see it in the clip. And then there was 3 people lined up together. I think they were tight ends in the backfield behind Jones. And then they split out. I believe 2 went left and 1 went right. It's very interesting. Saw Dan Bellinger, the number 1 tight end for the New York Giants right now. He was consistently on the outside, lining up on the right side all the way on the outside, not in the slot, not with a hand on the ground on the, lined up with the offensive line, all the way on the outside, which is similar to what you saw with former New York Giants tight end Evan Ingram, which, funny enough, another tweet came out today during 11-on-11 drills that he dropped another pass, which I believe it's day 3 for the Jaguars, and he's dropped a pass every single day in training camp for them. So nothing old there for Evan Ingram. But anyway, he's not on our team anymore. What we are worried about is Daniel Bellinger, and he got a few catches today, but I did notice that he was on the outside, which is very interesting because when the Giants drafted him, the main key point for him was blocking. He was a big blocking tight end. But he can make plays in the field, too. If you watch some of his highlights, he's had a few catches and gone for a lot of yards after catch. So that's the next thing I have here. After that, the fight between Shane Lemieux and Dexter Lawrence. Now, they told us no phone policy, right? And then the fight broke out very quickly. It's a fight, right? So didn't really get a good view. Bobby was next to me. He got like a couple seconds of a video, which I'll throw up, I'm sure. But really, you couldn't tell. What I read was that during the play, Dexter Lawrence shoved someone to the ground or beat someone, and Shane Lemieux wasn't happy about it, so we went over to give him a piece of his mind. And then after that, they started tackling each other and fighting, and then Leonard Williams eventually jumped in and joined that as well. It was a big fight. It really was. Players kept on, and they kept on going. Players, you know how they kind of walk over to view whatever's going on, try and stop it. There was that for 10 seconds, and then I still saw people on the ground. I was like, wait, there's more. So it was definitely a big fight that happened. They separated them, but that whole drive, I believe it was Shane Lemieux, was dominating Dexter Lawrence, so he was not happy about that. Next up here, Brian Daboll. He was very vocal today with the players, and Justin was telling me that this is the most vocal he's been throughout all of training camp. The most yelling, the most screaming. He was yelling at players to get off the field, yelling at some young defensive linemen, I guess telling them what to do. I don't know specifics. Obviously, you can't hear. There's loud music. There's a lot of people around you, but definitely noticed that Brian Daboll was yelling, and obviously it was the loudest he's ever been and the most vocal he's been all of training camp. Big day. A lot of eyes on him and the team. So I guess he wanted to let them know the pressure that they were on, really. I don't know if that's the right word, but he wanted to let them know that he's watching and people are watching, but definitely vocal there. Now I have the best and the worst play of the day. I wish I could do this every time, but, you don't really get that. But I think we've been getting, the best plays of the day. But today I have both the best and the worst. So the best play of the day goes out to Daniel Jones to Wan'Dale Robinson for a touchdown. Robinson was a nice stutter step sort of route. He turned one way, then went the other. And then Jones with an absolute dot of the throw, got it between coverage. That was a nice job there by DJ. Then the worst play of the day also goes out to Daniel Jones. And that was a horrible, horrible throw into double coverage, picked off by Dane Belton in the end zone. I don't know why. I don't know if he was told to throw it to that guy no matter what. But there were two people on one wide receiver. I don't remember who it was. But that doesn't matter because he threw it up into double coverage and an easy interception for Belton. So a good job there by him reading it on defense, but an awful job by Daniel Jones there. That was earlier in practice, and then Daniel Jones became more consistent by the end. Overall, I would say he was all right, though. It wasn't anything crazy, but once again, I do see that the defense is doing well so far, and that's credit to Don Wink Martindale, the new defensive coordinator for the New York Giants. And maybe it's just the offense. I mean, we knew the offense isn't that good compared to other NFL teams, but it just shows that the defense is pretty good right now. And again, this is just Giants offense versus Giants defense, so we don't really know how they compare to other teams in the NFL until really the regular season. I mean, you could say preseason, but that doesn't really compare. And then a couple more things here. Kadarius Toney, he didn't practice today, just a rest day. He's been getting a lot of reps. Sucks because I wasn't there for a lot of reps. I was hoping to see him today, but I didn't. But who stood out in his place? Wan'Dale Robinson. Definitely the guy did very well today, and I was happy to see what I saw from him. And he's very fast. He's, you see in his highlights that he's kind of like a human joystick, sort of like Kadarius Toney. But then you see him in person, sort of like Daniel Jones, and you see how fast he really is. It's pretty crazy. And then Quincy Roche. He looked really good today. Won basically every rep on defensive line in 11-on-11 drills, and he was out there and looked solid during individual drills as well as the defensive linemen, linebackers, edge rushers. They were doing their drills. on the field that the scrimmages were on, which is where we were. So we were able to watch that. Offense was on the quarterbacks. Davis Webb, Tyrod Taylor, Daniel Jones was on the right of us, so we couldn't really see them. Right in front of us were those guys, and then past them on the other field in front of us, far front, I guess, was the offensive line. So it was the easiest to see defensive linemen, edge rushers, linebackers. That's where we found out how good Roche was doing. But looked good. Thibodeau looked good in drills too. Tomon Fox looked good in drills. There was one player that had a really bad rep that looked like they'd never done that drill before. And it was one of the edge rushers, but I don't remember which one. But it doesn't matter at this point. So let's address what's going on here. I believe we had an upload on YouTube every single day since Tuesday or Wednesday, and it's now Saturday. So give ourselves credit there. I know Alex isn't joining, but I give himself credit. I know he recorded one solo, so good for him. And we're going to take probably, I don't want to say a much needed rest. We're not players. We haven't been practicing, but we're going to take a little bit of rest on Sunday. And we should be back with the daily training camp videos, recaps of day 5 coming back to you on Monday. If you've been watching all of these videos, we really appreciate it. If you haven't, there is a playlist with all of the training camps that you could just go one by one and just kind of binge those. So we appreciate if you could do that. Also help us out by subscribing down below, dropping that like button. And yeah, super fun. Excited to go in about a week or so with Alex to training camp. But that's all for me for today. So again, go down, subscribe, drop a like. I'll see you next time. Peace.